Yinka, I come to you today and our audience with a
Mm-hmm.
heavy heart. I'm
Okay.
mourning. I'm mourning the death of Nigeria and everything sports related in Nigeria. My heart is heavy. Um, so Nigeria went to the Olympics, and they might as well have stayed home because we're coming back with 0 bronzes, 0 silvers, and 0 golds. I'm not even sure we came fourth in anything. Did we come fourth in anything? In any final? No, we didn't.
Nah, I think the women's long jump or triple jump, we might have been fifth, where we
Okay.
had Brume and the ladies. I think that's the best we got. Yeah.
So Nigeria spent 12 billion naira. I can't do the math. I don't know what that is in dollars. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of money.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, who knows? Probably $2 got to the athletes out of that. You know where the rest went. And came home with nothing. So I'm sad. I have a lot of ideas for how to fix it. But let me shut up first. You give us your take in general on Nigeria's participation or lack thereof in these Olympics. What that says about the country writ large. What how it can be fixed. Just talk, Yinka.
Okay. Okay. Um. So for me, our only medal hope, or my only medal hope, was actually Toby Amuson. Right?
That's
To be
100
fair,
meters hurdles. She's the world record
100 meters
holder.
hurdle. She's
Yeah.
the world record holder. And when she lost out in the semis, right? I think that's the only time I felt, sad, disappointed, or dejected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every other thing that transpired for Nigeria in the Olympics, I was in shock. I expected it. Yeah.
Mm.
I expected it. And you know why? It's very simple.
Mm.
The people that are winning golds, multiple medals, multiple silvers, multiple bronzes, those people planted the seed
Mm.
that they're sowing right now. They planted it 20 years ago, 25 years ago,
Yeah.
30 years ago. Yeah. Back then, Nigeria didn't plant nada. Right? And like you say, you cannot reap what you did not sow. And
Very
you and I
true.
know a Nigerian musician that says you can't plant vegetables and expect onions or vice versa. It's not possible.
Yeah.
It is what you sow that you will reap. If you go back and take a flashlight and probably try and see through the preparations, what all the respective sports federations were doing, you will understand, right, that this debacle that we are facing today, or that we went through in these Olympics, it's been knocking on our doors for years.
Yeah.
The only reason why it wasn't obvious was you will see a lot of athletes that were not necessarily dependent on our federations, out of the
Mm.
love for the country, will say, I want to come and represent Nigeria.
Mm.
But right now, those people are like, why am I even representing Nigeria? Why can't I just stay with whoever that I'm training with? Bahrain's, the Italy's, the Germany's, right? So now you have a higher number of Nigerian athletes. I think Nigeria probably has the highest number of athletes that is not representing their country, if you get what I mean. As in natural born Nigerians that are not representing their country. You see Nigerians in Ireland, Germany, Italy, probably 40% of the UK team, track team, is Nigeria. Almost all the girls in there are Nigerians. Well, no, you get. I'm exaggerating, but you guys get my point.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys get my point. So these girls and these athletes are just realizing, why am I? What's the point? See Favor Ophelia, see what happened to her. They didn't even register her for the 100 meters.
What happened to her. Yeah.
We don't know. All we know is she was expected to represent Nigeria in the 100 meters, right? And a few days to the event, she got word that she wasn't going to be there. And she said, what happened? And the Olympics committee, they told her, your country did not register you for 100 meters. And she's like, why won't they register me for 100 meters? I am the fastest Nigerian woman here right now. If there's any medal hope for Nigeria, it's me. And she wasn't registered. Now the Minister of Sports has come out to say something happened somewhere, we're investigating. This investigation will never see the light of day. We'll never see the end result of it. Someone somewhere, one incompetent B word, right, didn't do what they were supposed to do. I was going to say bastard, by the way, but I'm not sure if bastard is allowed, but you get my point. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. And this will be swept under the carpet. So this is the incompetence that has been reeking, that we've been talking about for donkey years. Yeah? Our grassroots is non-existent, more or less. Is non-existent. All the championships, the secondary school, the mobile, whatever, all the things that we do locally, what's coming out of them? Nothing. The funding, there's no funding. The money is not getting to the athletes. The government is releasing the money, but it's not getting to the athletes. It's not getting to the coaches. So once you have that small talent, you get a scholarship to go study an athletic scholarship in any of, it might be US, it might be UK, it might be Italy. Next thing, you naturalize, you turn over, you say, leave Nigeria. So the people, and no disrespect to these guys, I love them and I appreciate the fact that they want to represent Nigeria. But we're not even getting the cream anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe I can't cut it in Italy, but I still want to be an Olympian. Let me come back to Nigeria. That's what we're getting these days.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting. And again, I've ranted enough. Let me let you say something.
Yinka, it was a rant, but everything you said was true. I'm just sad, if I'm being honest. Like my heart is heavy. I've talked on here about my earliest memories of the World Cup being in 1986. I was too young for 1982. But my earliest memories of sports, Yinka, was boxing in 1984. Was Carl Lewis in 1984. 1984 Olympics, 1987 World Championships. I don't think I actually watched 1983 World Championships live. I was young. And for those watching back then, the World Championships in athletics was every 4 years before they changed it to every 2 years. So, that was like the World Cup to us when we were growing up, because athletics, track and field, we didn't really care about the field part of it, but the track part of it, oh my gosh, like 100 meters. And Nigeria was competitive, Yinka. So the US has always been like the king and queen of the track in the sprints anyway. But once you take back then, I'm talking 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you take out the US, you take out Great Britain. I don't know what's so damn great about it, but that's what they choose to call themselves. You take out, Canada, maybe.
Canada wasn't even there then.
Bailey or whatever. No, not Leon Bailey. What's his name? The other Bailey.
Donovan
Bailey. Sorry, Leon Bailey's a footballer.
Yeah.
You take them out. It was Jamaica, then Nigeria. Ghana was there for like a tiny little bit in a 400 and a 4x4. So, but Nigeria was the next one up. So now see Nigeria not even be anywhere it just makes me sad. So let me quickly go to solutions, right? So you've laid out, I'm not going to repeat everything you said because you've laid out what the problems are. We know what the problems are. Yinka, when we were growing up, the sports infrastructure ran through the public school system in Nigeria, right? Yeah. That's pretty what it was. It was the public school system in Nigeria. I don't hear anyone saying this, but I think that's where Nigeria has lost it. Because, how do I put this? People have lost faith in Nigeria's public education system, right? in what in the US we call K through 12, which is pretty much primary and secondary school. People have lost faith.
Yeah.
So you go to the poorest neighborhoods in Nigeria now, and there's private schools there. Those private schools may be subpar compared to the public school option, but everybody wants to send their kids to a private school because Nigerians have lost faith in their public schools. So, in my opinion, I think the biggest problem in our sports grassroots infrastructure is we haven't replaced the public school, scouting system with a private school one, because people pay money. One second, Yinka. People pay money not for their kids to go and run and jump and play ball, but for them to go in and become physics and whatever experts and become doctors and engineers. Go for it. Yinka.
Okay, I wanted to buttress your point. Yeah. And I'll take it back to you. Have you seen most of these private schools?
Okay.
It's like somebody wakes up one morning and says, "This house is too big. I need to turn it into a school."
Yes, I agree.
So where is the room to do any sports? There's no room to do any sports, Akin. Then they will now do one inter-house sport once a year. They will take them to field, call all the parents. Everybody will run, clap, shout, and be like, "We've done something."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's mediocrity. So for people watching, the school Yinka and I went to, right? The secondary school we went to. And for those who are not Nigerian, secondary school for us is, grades 7 to 12, right? That's secondary school.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, I tell my kids all the time, we didn't have functioning toilets.
That's true.
But we had, you know what we had? We had access to the university stadium. So that inter-house sport that Yinka was talking about, you would do your marathon, you would run on real tracks, right? And you will play ball on a real field, right? So when we went to school, ours was the best academic school in the States. I don't care what our rivals say. But we also had real exposure to real facilities. When people decided they wanted to play basketball, they put an outside court for us. It was terrible. But then when we put a team together, they found their way to get us into the stadium in town, where there was one of the few nice indoor facilities in Nigeria. And that was because there was a commitment. We were the best academic school, but we also strive to do things in sports. So I feel like that's not translating, in my opinion, right? So all these people paying all this money in places like Lagos need to be pushing for, hey, where is your sports facilities? You know what I mean? Because we have to rebuild. We have to, no, but I'm telling you, right? We have to rebuild. And it doesn't have to be that each school needs one. It could just be that neighborhoods have one, because you can't look what you said about reaping where you don't. So I say it all the time. We want to go to heaven without dying. That's not how it works. You can't show up in heaven alive. You got to be dead first. You got to take the pain. You got to take the pain before you can reap the reward. And you said something to me the other day that Olympians are outliers to start with, which is true. So I'm not even, but we're microwave society, and you're not going to like me taking it to religion, but we like that microwave. God touched my head and the miracle happened, so we over index on the miracle of it all. We over index on the big man syndrome. We want saints. We want a savior. We want a rich man to come and just wipe away all our debt. Literally, we don't want them. We don't necessarily ask our richest people to build institutions and infrastructure. We want them to do giveaway.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Anything for the boys.
Everybody's looking for their next meal. So, Yinka, I'm gonna do a quick segue to what is working in Nigeria. Nollywood, I don't watch it, but it's working. Okay. Afro beats. Okay. I would say social media, content creators. I mean, they're doing amazing. Nigerian culture has been pretty much transported around the world via social media. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody wants to eat jollof, everybody wants to eat fufu, you know?
It's
But
fufu, by the
you know
way,
what I'm
not
saying?
fufu.
It's fufu.
It's fufu. Anyway, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? But again, when you think about, let me just talk about Afro beats, for example. You know what? No, let's start with Nollywood. Before Nollywood found its way to Prime, Amazon Prime, and Netflix, they were doing home videos for 40 years,
Yeah.
right? They were doing stage plays with Herbert Ogunde and all of them for, I don't know, 60 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before
Mm-hmm.
Afrobeats became Afrobeats, you had the Oliver the Cook, you have the baristas and Collintons, you had the fella Nicola
Fela.
Puputi, you had King Sunny Ade and Ebenezer Obey. You had them doing things as literal. They were kids at the time when they
Yeah.
started. Because what did Common say? It's one of my favorite sayings ever. It don't take all day to recognize sunshine. When you're good or great, you're good or great. You don't
Absolutely.
have to be 70 for the world to know. You know what I'm saying? So these
Yeah.
people in their relative youth were already putting Nigeria on the map. But I saw an interview with Ebenezer Obey where he talked about up till today, he still practices with his band. I think he says every week. That work ethic, that's why they became great. It wasn't just because of their talent. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna end this with a quick discussion on talent. But Yinka, I had a meeting today with let's just call him an older brother type Nigerian guy. It
Mm-hmm.
was a business meeting. That's where I was coming from before we started recording today. And for
Yeah.
those watching, today is Sunday, the 11th of August.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Barista, the guy who created
Yeah.
Fuji music and all that. And I'm sorry for those who don't listen to Fuji. Yinka and I bond on Fuji and we think it's amazing. And he happened to have a personal relationship with Barista.
Interesting.
Barista and his son. He was his son's schoolmate. So they had a
Okay.
personal relationship. And he told me something. He was like, Kwam One, Wasiu.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
had a chance to meet Wasiu before. And he noticed that every time he saw Wasiu listening to music, Wasiu was always listening to Barista.
Wow.
And he asked Wasiu, why do you only listen to Barista? And he said something like, Onekalo Moriko in Fuji. That is the only one who knows how to, because
Yeah.
he was like, you will meet Barista. And the first day he met Barista and he said, oh, what's your name? Said his name. He turned it into a song on the spot. So that's my segue to talent. You can have talent, but what do you do with it? If Barista had stayed as a soldier, he doesn't become Barista, we never get Fuji. You have to put in the work. He doesn't do the world tours he started in the 80s. When people see Burna Boy now, they think Burna Boy was, you think this happens without Barista? You think this happens without Kwam One? So it's, you gotta die before you can go to heaven. You gotta put in the work. You know what I mean? And it's hard to make a world champion. It's hard. And you can't, look, we're talking about the Olympics, but you can even argue that the Olympics, you need specialized training or whatever. Why are we no longer good in football, Inka? Why are we no longer good in football?
But you and I have spoken about this, right?
Yeah.
So the talent attrition is real. Aki.
Yeah.
It is very real. Okay? Because people have realized that it is in my best interest not to pursue whatever it is I'm pursuing within this region. It is better for me if I take my talents and I take it out there. The opportunities are bigger, the stage is bigger, the facilities are bigger, better, the funding is there. So I have a better chance. So what we have left in Nigeria is breadcrumbs, not the dough itself, not the bread itself. That's what we're dealing with. Look at all the academies in the UK. They're filled with Nigerian kids. You watch Arsenal play West Ham, like 50% of the lineup is Adeleke or Gochuku. So what are we talking about? You understand what I'm saying? People that don't know, Eze is Nigerian. Saka is Nigerian.
Olise is Nigerian.
Olise is Nigerian. So this is what is going on. Yeah. So we're left with breadcrumbs. And I can going back to what you mentioned earlier on, right? You and I, we have a common. We guys know this already. Yeah. At our club, the way stuff works, we start. I mean, we've been around for a while, a couple of years now, but the success that we've registered within this short period of time is it surprises our competitors back home. Do you understand? They look at us and be like, "What are you guys? How come you guys are doing this stuff? What are you doing differently?" And it's simple, Akin. There is goal alignment. Everybody in the hierarchy knows this is our objective. This is what we are going to do. And everybody walks towards that objective. Yeah? That's number one. Once there is no goal alignment, you're dead. So that's the issue with Nigeria in general, our sports. The people in charge, their goal is to line their pockets. It's not to get the best athletes on the pitch, on the track for Nigeria. The coach's intent is to coach the best talent. But that doesn't align with what the people in charge are doing. Once there's no goal alignment, you're dead. That's one. Even if there's goal alignment, Aki, and there's no steady funding, there's a problem. So going back to our own whatever as a case study, there's steady funding. Then the third bit is nepotism, Aki. Even the little funding that filters through, that is when somebody will remember, I'm with the Labro, I have one junior brother somewhere. Oh yeah, and he can play ball, And that's the person that they will put it there because everybody wants their person to be there. So going back to our own case study, you know the way this stuff works. There's no nepotism. You've not called me one day to say, bros, there's one of my younger boys in Umaro, he can play ball. Can he?
No, never.
That has never happened.
Never.
I've also never called my big brother to say, oh, there's one boy that I know, he needs to. No, there's no nepotism. If you don't have talent, you don't have talent. You can't play. Quick story. I know I'm digressing. Very, 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 very quick story. One young lady in my office said, I know you're into sports, you talk sports, you blah, 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 blah. I have a junior brother who can play. This. His friend says the best footballer ever. I said, okay, all right, no problem. So I called my brother. I'm like, I'm sending one young boy to you. Just let me know. And that's what I do. That's what we all do. If anybody sees. So I sent the young guy to Oregon High School in Lagos here.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, my brother called me and said, where did you get this young guy from? I said, is it as I expected? He said, it's terrible. I said, no problem. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I said, just send him home. I just called my colleague. I'm like, he's in school, right? Tell him to face his studies,
Stay in
right?
school. Oh
Stay in school.
Gosh.
Stay in school. But Aki, that is the problem we have. We don't have goal alignment. Funding is not there. And nepotism would not let us be objective.
All right. So, Yinka, just to jump on, let me jump on this thing. Let me jump back on this thing. I'm glad you mentioned Adeleke. You were just throwing a name out there, but there's actually a Rashidat Adeleke in Ireland. And it's so funny because I've been following her for about 5 years. And this is the thing I'm talking about, right? And you're talking about as well. I think she ended up coming, Ireland were fourth in the 4x4, I believe. They were fourth. Mm-hmm. And she's a sprinter. She's not a 400-meter runner. She's a 100, 200 type runner. And Ireland were only fourth in the 4x4 because when she handed the baton to them, I think they were like in second or third place. And that was her. That was her. Nobody else. But I've followed her through the juniors, right? Running for Ireland. I've watched her technique get better and better and better. And she became, like a real pro. She went to all the Euros, grinding her way through all that. Like, I wouldn't say, how do I put this? I wouldn't say she has the most talent in the world, right? But when you stick to something, when you have talent and then you stick to something, good things happen to you, So absolutely. I couldn't have been prouder. I don't care about Ireland at all. But I couldn't have been prouder to see, just because I'm personally invested in her journey, because I've been watching her for 5 years. I knew her when she was a teen, and that's the problem, right? Because, and this is where I'm going to close on this, Yinka. What are the solutions, right? I think Afrobeats became what it became without government intervention.
Yep.
Nollywood became what it became without government intervention, right? Yep. These private school networks that I'm talking about, no government intervention. Government doesn't even subsidize these private schools, unlike in parts of the West, like in Canada, for example, government does give money, blah, 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 to subsidize some private schools, right? There is no connection between Nigerian private schools and government. They benefit nothing from government. They don't use government buildings, nothing. So
nothing.
I'm a little sick and tired, Yinka, of hearing the same thing every 4 years for the Olympics, every 2 years for the Nations Cup, every 4 years for the World Cup, where Nigerians, let's just call it what it is, they just bitch about the government. I am tired of it. We are 237 million people. You can have success without government. What are you doing? I'm just tired of it, because you know what? The one thing I can guarantee you is 50 years from now, the government is not going to change. We have seen brutal military dictatorships. We have seen visionary military governments. We've seen, terrible civilian governments of all stripes. We've had a parliamentary, democracy. We've had a non-parliamentary democracy. It does not matter. Nigeria and good governance, I don't know. We're 50 years away.
Yeah.
So are we going to wait 50 years to start doing well in things that people care about? I can't explain why people care about this, but people care about it. I'm sad. I'm devastated. I know you are too. So my thing is, Yinka, what are the solutions? So number one, the easiest one, the lazy one. All the Nigerians around the world need to prioritize Nigeria. Okay? And stop trying to do the easy things. Do the hard things, right? So I'm gonna mess up the saying, but it's something like I think it's like everything you want is on the other end of hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything you want is on the other end of hard. You got to do the hard work. So this is what I would do, Yinka. So say I'm someone like Rasheedat Adeleke, and I'm like, I can run a little bit. If we had 4 Rasheedat Adelekes, you win a medal. Ireland in 20 years would not produce 4 of her. Historically, they haven't. They haven't. But Nigeria can produce 4 Favour Ophelis. If you put Rasheedat and Favour together, you're halfway there. Because if you double Rasheedat and Favour, they win a medal. They win a medal, Yinka. So all of them should just run for Nigeria. That's what I'm trying to say. So the next generation of Favours and Rasheedats and the girl running for Italy and all the ones running for Bahrain, call each other or whatever. Kids don't call anymore these days. Do whatever you do on social media with each other and gather together and run for Nigeria. And you know what? Put Nigeria on blast on social media and say, have you guys registered me yet? You know what I mean? No, I'm serious. And let this be the cause that Nigerian youth can take up for you. Because this is actually better for your career. When is Italy going to produce 4 Ophelis? Easy like that. When is Ireland going to produce 4 Adelekes? Nigeria has them in abundance. You just have to. So that's the easy way out. The hard way out, Yinka, the hard way out is putting in the work, which is not something we know how to do. But that's the solution to this. Go ahead, Yinka.
Okay. So I agree with you, and I know we've overflogged this, but I'll just say this, right? This work you're talking about is not a 1 week, 2 week thing. It's a long term. It's a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year investment in terms of funding, in terms of time. Yeah. here's the thing. You hit the nail on the head earlier on. Nigerians don't have that kind of patience. Nigerians don't have that kind of patience. And I'm talking of the people that can put the money down, put the time down, make this thing happen. They are not interested in it. Jamaican Athletics Federation is as bad as Nigeria's. How come Jamaica has all that? It's because people are investing in there. They're like, oh, this is, I can be agents of these athletes, right? And I can sponsor them. And do you understand? I can make money off them. That is where we need to get to. The thing now is Nigeria in general, we are focused on football. Do you know how many football academies we have in Nigeria? How many athletic clubs do we have?
Yeah.
How many basketball clubs do we have?
Not many.
How many other sporting clubs do we have? Not many.
Not many.
And let me tell you the funniest part of it. It is where the funding goes to. That's where the interest is and stuff. Yeah. My son, for example, he goes to like that kind of private school that you're talking about.
Yeah,
there's really
very
no
fancy.
pitch, nowhere to play football. Exactly. Guess what the young man is into? He's into chess. The young man is barely 10, 11. He's almost as good as I am right now. Because that is where, and the school takes him to chess competitions constantly. Because that is the low-hanging fruit for them. That's what they can do. Right? To make this thing happen requires you to be intentional, requires you to know exactly what you want to do and be willing to say, see, guys, even if I don't make money off this, I'm happy enough to say that I've changed the life of young Nigerians that have talent and they've made something out of their lives. Akin, not too many people are willing to do that. So my take is this. The secondary schools, I like your take on secondary schools and primary schools, having those tournaments. But at the end of the day, once you identify those people, those outliers that can then be Olympians, quote and unquote, the people that are special, you then need to put them in a program that caters to their special needs and their talents. You can't just leave them and say, oh, be training, be running with one coach. No training. Some of them don't even have spike shoes to run with. Go to Ilorin Stadium, you see people running barefooted on tartan tracks. It's
so Yinka, Tobago from Botswana did not have running shoes until 2 years ago. This is a real thing. And you saw what he did. What he did in the 200 is amazing. What he did in 100 is amazing. For me, the story of the Olympics for him is the 4x4. Where he's not even a 400-meter runner. And I'm telling you, 5 more meters, he catches up and they win gold. And he's doing this with 3 guys you've never heard of before. You know what I'm saying? Because you can build a program around special talent. I love what you said about Jamaica. And you're right. You're right about the Jamaican Federation. But you know what they have? They have running clubs, right? So...
exactly.
You know what I mean? They have clubs that develop people. All the Jamaicans that we know came from home. I told you what my friend said the other day, that when you catch them young and they leave Jamaica, they don't succeed. When you catch them young and they stay, they become world beaters. And again, to your point about outliers, Usain Bolt is an outlier. But Jamaica had great runners before him, and they've had great runners since Usain Bolt, and that's the result of having a program.
They will continue to have. They will continue to have.
Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notifications button so you don't miss any of our content.
And please don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms.